It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of September 29th, 1995. We've got a ton of movies to look at, 8 in particular, so we don't want to waste any more time with you. Let's just jump on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, because despite this being the highest grossing film of the weekend, it did not do well critically or financially, and you're going to see why. It is Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Do you know why we celebrate Halloween? A long, long time ago, it was a night of great power. When the days grew short, all across the land, huge bonfires were lit. Oh, there was a marvelous celebration, and they dressed up in costumes, hoping to ward off the evil spirits, especially the boogeyman.
So yeah, I hope you like Dr. Loomis, because this is the last time you're going to see him played by Donald Pleasence, because Donald Pleasence passed away actually 7 months before this movie came out in February of 95, so this is the last time you're going to see him, and I wish it was a much better movie than this. And I mean, you could tell Jamie Lee Curtis wanted nothing to do with this, but hey, you get to see Paul Rudd in one of his earliest film roles, but I say this because I've seen the movie, but I have not. I honestly have never seen any of the Halloween movies, honestly. It's just, horror movies are probably the genre I like the least. They're ones that I don't really feel a whole lot of interest in. I do like some horror movies. There are some horror movies that I do like overall. I like what Jordan Peele's done with Get Out and Us. I like some of the the good Blumhouse films, stuff like Sinister, Insidious. What's the other one? Oculus. The Black Phone was a really good one that came out recently, and I'm one of the few people that will probably say this. I really liked Skinamarink, the one that came out on Shudder a couple months ago. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's just nothing there. It's just nothing there for most of the film. But I mean, honestly, I've had nightmares that are very similar to what the stuff in that movie, where you just see nothing there, and all of a sudden there's something there, and it's just my personal opinion on it. I really enjoyed that movie. This is not a review of that though, but yeah, the Halloween movies I've never really gotten into all that much. I admire what they've done in terms of establishing the career of Jamie Lee Curtis, as well as Donald Pleasence as well. I've actually heard a lot of these movies are actually kind of decent, like Halloween, Halloween 2. Halloween 3 is a very underrated film, I hear from a lot of people, so is Halloween 4. After that, though, it very much depends on how you interpret these movies. Like a lot of people really don't like the one that came after Halloween 4, and this film, Halloween H2O, was a big hit, but Halloween Resurrection was seen as a laugher. The Rob Zombie Halloween movies are seen as a very mixed bag, and the Halloween movies that just came out recently, the ones by David Gordon Green, the first movie I hear is great, the other ones, not so much. So I really don't know anything about these movies to really get a good glance of what I'm really going into with these films. So, like I said, I haven't seen this movie, but I know that this one is notorious for having multiple versions of it, because all the other versions of all the other Halloween sequels do not have as many versions as this one does. They have versions where they had to reshoot everything because the test cut for this did not play out very well. The theatrical version was the only one commercially available for the longest time, until they actually put out the Scream Factory Complete Collection set a couple years ago. There's a producer's cut, there's a director's cut that also exists with footage cut by the MPAA, so there's so many different versions of this particular film that I really don't know what's the best way to even go see this movie if I was really invested in these films. But I would assume that this is probably one of the lesser ones, especially considering that fact that there's just so many different versions of it that it's not even worth it to even check it out, especially because the movie is not that great to begin with. But like I said, I don't really know too much about these movies. I've never seen them. Don't really have an interest in seeing them at any point. Maybe someday I will, but that's just my thoughts on that. So, Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. It's a movie that existed. So, With that said, let's get to a much better movie, more than likely. It's Denzel Washington reuniting with Carl Franklin, who directed The Mighty Quinn, and the film is, of course, Devil in a Blue Dress.
For Ezekiel Rollins, L.A. was a world of sunshine and shadows.
Hey, easy. How you doing, baby? Junior, take easy on upstairs.
Black and white.
We got no work here. Sorry, fella. My name's not fella. My name is Ezekiel Rollins.
So here you need a job. What kind of work do you do? I'm just looking for somebody.
Daphne Monet.
Fiance of Todd Carter.
She been gone 2 weeks.
See, Daphne has a predilection for the company of Negroes.
He thought he knew how to play the game.
Any of y'all seen a white girl by the name of Dahlia, Delilah, something like that?
My name is Daphne. You can't get none of that tonight.
You know?
Until he stepped into a world
Why don't you tell me about your friend Daphne?
Colored woman ain't good enough for you no more, Hines.
where there are no rules.
Why are you arresting me?
Now, what time did you leave Greta James' house this morning?
What is going on?
She's not going to be waking up, Ezekiel.
He's looking for a woman no one wants found.
Was there anyone with you, a young lady named Daphne Monet, perhaps?
The incumbent mayor, the chief of police, close personal friends of mine.
Then they can help us find her.
No, they can't.
And getting in deeper than he ever expected.
This is Daphne Monet. You're looking for me. I don't know if I should think of you as a friend or as a private dick.
Surrounded by lies.
You can trust me, Mr. Rollins. I am the next mayor, and luckily for you, a friend of the Negro.
Seduced by power.
Unless I give the cops a killer by tomorrow morning, I'm going to jail.
Easy Rollins is searching.
Not very smart talking about Mr. Carter's business.
There's too much going on for me to give a damn about what you think is smart.
For the truth.
Who killed her?
I don't know.
Don't lie to me! Start up my car, keep it hot, I'm coming out fast. Let's go!
Get her. Don't shoot it.
We going to the police. Yeah, why don't you scream, huh?
From the Academy Award-winning producers of Philadelphia and The Silence of the Lambs, Academy Award winner Denzel Washington, Devil in a Blue Dress, a Carl Franklin film.
I completely lied to you. Carl Franklin did not do The Mighty Quinn. That was somebody else. But Carl Franklin did another underrated noir film that came out in the 90s, and that was One False Move with Billy Bob Thornton in it, which is a really great film. Came out in 92. If you haven't seen that one, definitely check that one out. And I apologize for saying that he did The Mighty Quinn. The Mighty Quinn is a really damn good Denzel Washington movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking that out as well. That should not take away from the fact that that's a pretty damn good movie. And this is a pretty damn good movie, too. This is Devil in a Blue Dress, based off of the book of the same name. This is a modern-day, kind of the same with One False Move. It's a modern-day neo-noir mystery thriller with Denzel Washington playing the character of Ezekiel Rollins, who's a fictional character in the series of books by Walter Mosley. And it's a well-made film. It's a visually gorgeous film, and you got Denzel Washington in there. I mean, the dude, like I said before, Denzel Washington, I consider him to be one of the greatest actors living right now. Like, he still can really give you a great performance no matter what movie he's in, and this is a prime example of that. You got a great cast that includes Jennifer Beals, Tom Sizemore, Don Cheadle in particular really makes his name well known in this film. Maury Chaykin is in this, Terry Kinney, Lisa Nicole Carson from Ally McBeal. Just a lot of notable names in here, and they're all giving really solid performances. The visuals in this movie are amazing to look at. It's got everything you want in there. A good mystery, some good elements of dramatic and comedic elements working off of each other. The chemistry between the characters works so well. It's just an amazing film. I watched this again for the first time on Criterion Collection not too long ago, and I was amazed at how much I really enjoyed this movie. This is a really damn good movie. And it's probably one of Denzel's more underrated films. It was not a big hit financially. It was a critical success. But, yeah, it's a really damn good movie. It's one that I highly recommend checking out if you want to see the best of what Denzel Washington can do as an actor. This film definitely does the trick. It's a really great film. Can't recommend it enough. Devil in a Blue Dress. Definitely check it out. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Disney's The Big Green.
Something radical finally really happened in this town.
Nothing radical ever happens in this town.
Wrong.
In a place like Elma,
That's a code red.
a little news
I'm the new teacher.
No way.
can be a big event.
Don't waste your time with us.
I can grip the whole ABCs.
We're losers.
And just one person
Well, why don't we just try something else?
can make a world of difference.
Where'd you let her do that?
Walt Disney Pictures presents
This is a soccer ball.
the story of the worst soccer team
We don't play soccer.
to ever hit the field.
Oh, you're showing such potential. That's the team we're playing?
They got little kids and girls on the team.
Their goalie is starting to see things.
I'm not feeling so good about this.
That's a fair. Keep down.
Their captain wants to quit.
We get out of here. This is embarrassing.
And even their newest player
I'm your man.
is shooting blanks. Go for the kill. But playing for the smallest town in the state
He's running. Go.
is about to become
They're nothings from nowhere. We're not the nothings from nowhere. We're the Alma nothings.
the biggest kick of their lives.
What's that? Come on, come on.
Maybe I can get into this. Kick it out.
From the people who brought you Disney's Angels in the Outfield
Hey, you know, they're getting better.
Now we got ourselves a real game.
Walt Disney Pictures, The Big Green.
It's Mighty Ducks for soccer fanatics. I mean, that's really what this movie is. It's the Mighty Ducks, except replace hockey with soccer. And let's get the writer of Angels in the Outfield too, because that was another big sports film that Disney made in the '90s. So, and why stop there? Let's get the kid from The Sandlot in there. Let's get the kid from The Little Rascals who played Alfalfa, Bug Hall. Olivia Dabo, she was just in The Wonder Years, and she was just in Greedy. And Steve Guttenberg. Steve Guttenberg's never going away. There's your movie. That's The Big Green for you. And The Big Green. It's one of those movies. It's not one of those movies that I remember seeing as a kid, but it did not leave a lasting impact with me. And watching it again, I can kind of see why. It just feels like a movie that's just trying to throw stuff at you to get your attention. And like most of these Disney films that we've looked at that came out, mostly the live action films, they're just movies that are just trying to be what's hip to the kids at the time period. And let's just throw stuff at the wall. Let's have a goat that will paint as green and will not look convincing at all. And then we'll have the goalie looking at the in front of him, and he'll just have visions of these strange mystical creatures trying to attack him. It's just like, why? Because it'll keep your attention going for 90 minutes. And yeah, this movie did not leave a lasting impact on me, and you can kind of see why. It's kind of all over the place, really. And for the most part, there's just nothing there. The characters aren't really all that likable. The story is every single underdog sports film you've ever seen, except when they do the story. There's been other times when it has worked so well. Case in point, the Mighty Ducks movies, D1 and D2 in particular. And then Cool Runnings is a great underdog sports movie from Disney that's much better than this. Even Angels in the Outfield, which I was really not the biggest fan of, I at least got to give that one credit for at least trying to do something unique and different. But here, it's just like, let's take all the tropes, all the cliches, and just make a move and just do it with soccer, and hopefully it'll work out for the best. And it does not. I mean, you don't really buy into any of these relationships. Most of the people in this town are kind of stupid. Like the fact that this teacher from England all of a sudden is just turning this whole town around. Like, oh, who is that? It's just like, what? You've never seen somebody from another country before? I mean, well, again, this is in Texas, so maybe not. But bottom line is that this is a largely forgettable movie, and I remember seeing it when I was a little kid, and watching it again, it's one that I instantly forgot, and probably for good reason. So that's The Big Green. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is from the director of The Fugitive, Andy Garcia, in Steal Big, Steal Little.
wealth and power.
Well, challenge the will.
Twin brothers battle over an unexpected inheritance.
The land is not for sale.
Andy Garcia stars in a romantic adventure that will steal your heart. Steal big, steal little. Rated PG-13. Open September 29th. Every.
Very different film from the director of The Fugitive, Andrew Davis. Not only did that, he did Under Siege, The Package, Above the Law, and then shortly after this, he went back to making action films with Train Reaction, Collateral Damage. He would do stuff like The Guardian, Holes, A Perfect Murder, and this was one that definitely has the look of something completely outside of his normal thing. I haven't seen it, so I can't really say anything about it, but judging by the reviews for it, probably a good reason why he went back to action films, because it's apparently not that great of a film. And Andy Garcia usually can be a very good actor. You also have Alan Arkin, Joe Pantoliano, Rachel DeCotton, David Ogden Stiers, Kevin McCarthy, Richard Bradford, some notable names in here, but really there's just not it does not look like anything intriguing at all. It just feels like a film that's just kind of like has some potential to it, but kind of goes into predictable territory. I think you can pretty much tell where it's going to go, but who knows? Maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe this movie is actually a lot better than people make it out to be, but I'm in no mood to really go check it out anytime soon, so let's go on to the next movie, shall we? And that is Moonlight and Valentino.
Pictures presents A Story of Life.
Now I am the W word. What is it? Like for witch? Widow.
Oh, laughter.
Paul left me. We had a really big fight last night. It's a note from Paul. He's gone to the gym to play racquetball. What?
And four friends about to discover
Valentino!
the magic of Moonlight and Valentino.
That man makes me want to do wild things.
Moonlight and Valentino. Rated R.
Why does it feel like Whoopi Goldberg has been in more than one of these type of films this year alone? I know she was in Boys on the Side, but it feels like she's been in more movies like this, where she's playing kind of the black best friend to these two other women in there. And Boys on the Side kind of works, but this movie, I'm not too sure. This is written by Ellen Simon, the daughter of Neil Simon, and directed by David Anspaugh, whose last movie was Rudy. It's got a pretty good cast to it. Besides Goldberg, you've got Elizabeth Perkins, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Kathleen Turner in there. And John Bon Jovi and Peter Coyote as well. Jeremy Sisto's also in here. So there are some notable names in here to it, but again, kind of like with Steel Big Steel Little, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot there. It feels like it's trying to be a film that's very reminiscent of something like Steel Magnolias, or just movies of that nature, where you have a group of very talented women that are just sitting there talking and not really doing anything that intriguing or interesting, having these stories that seem intriguing but really are not. But that's just my take on it. I haven't seen the film, so I can't really say too much about it, but that's just my initial thought watching the trailer for that. So that is Moonlight and Valentino. Now let's get back to a good film, at least. Nicole Kidman starring In To Die For.
Columbia Pictures welcomes you to the real America,
Suzanne, did you get those kids to kill your husband?
where criminals get to be celebrities.
It was on First Edition and American Justice.
And celebrities get away with murder.
It's nice to live in a country where life, liberty, and all the rest of it still stand for something.
Nicole Kidman is to die for.
This is probably one of Nicole Kidman's most underrated movies, and also one of her best movies overall. I would say probably top 5 in my favorite movies with her in it. Directed by Gus Van Sant, written by Buck Henry of all people. This is based off of a novel by Joyce Maynard, which is also based off of the story of Pamela Smart, which, if you don't remember her, she was a woman who was convicted of being accomplice to first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and witness tampering in the death of her husband, Gregory Smart. This was back in 1990. She was 22 at the time. She actually conspired with an underage sex partner, 15-year-old William Flynn, and three of his friends to have him killed in Derry, New Hampshire, and she's currently serving a life sentence in New York City without the possibility of parole, and that's a different story altogether, but that was the inspiration for this particular film, and it's actually a really well-made film. You've got Joaquin Phoenix as one of the guys that eventually takes part in the murder. Matt Dillon is the man who plays Nicole Kidman's, I can't remember, was her husband or boyfriend? I think it was her boyfriend. But you also have, you see Wayne Knight in there, Elena Douglas, Casey Affleck is in here, Kurtwood Smith, Dan Hedaya, really solid cast overall. It's a really funny black comedy, just really has a lot of great things about it that really make it stand out. Like, it's a film that showcases what Nicole Kidman's potential as a leading actress can be, and it's really well done. It's a really solid film all around. It's a film that I was really pleasantly surprised by. I remember seeing the previews for it when I was little, and when I finally got around to seeing R-rated films, that was one of the ones that I wanted to see first, and I'm glad I finally did, because it was actually a really damn good movie, and it really does, like I say, showcase not only Nicole Kidman's potential as a leading actress, but it's a sharp, sadistic comedy about the obsession with being a celebrity. In a way, it kind of has the same feel as something like Natural Born Killers, except nowhere near as insane and over the top as that film went. But it's a pretty damn good movie. It's a really amazing film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out if you can find it. To Die For. You will not be disappointed by that one. So let's move on to the next movie, and that is Jane Austen's Persuasion.
Dare not say that man forgets sooner than woman. I have loved none but you.
From Jane Austen's timeless classic comes the story of a woman, a captain, and a desire so strong.
You will stay, won't you?
It could destroy them both.
To involve yourself with a man of no fortune, no connection.
Between her heart's desire.
He is charming, he is clever.
You have an extraordinary ability to discompose my friends, sir.
You have an extraordinary ability to influence her mouth.
And her family's disdain.
Do you prefer a sailor to your own family connections among the nobility of England and Ireland?
Lies a woman open to persuasion. The critics call Persuasion a Cinderella romance so delicious you want it never to end. And simply the finest movie of this year, or any year. If you adored A Room with a View, then you'll cherish Persuasion.
Another one I haven't seen, but Kieran Hines is in it, playing the love interest to the main character played by Amanda Root. Takes place in 19th century England, 8 years after Anne Elliot was persuaded by others to reject Frederick Wentworth's proposal of marriage, and it follows the two as they become reacquainted with each other while supporting characters threatened to interfere. So, like I said, I haven't seen it, but it's mostly because I don't really get into period pieces like this too often. Not going to say I wouldn't say it's a bad. I would at least say it's not going to be a bad movie, because usually movies like this don't usually end up being that bad. Sometimes you get it every once in a while, but it's just something that, it's kind of like with horror movies in general. I don't really rush out to see films like this, but sometimes I check them out every once in a while, and sometimes I usually get more than I ask for. And I have no reason to believe that this movie's not going to will not be a bad film. But I don't know. So another quick one there. That's Persuasion, and really the last one here I haven't seen either. So we can be quick on this one too. And it's a film I never even heard of, but definitely sounds intriguing. It's War of the Buttons.
In this land of legend and mystical beauty lie two neighboring villages, where the children begin each day with a smile, because after school...
You know what that line stands for? This off of the bridge is ours. Keep your hands off. Yeah, keep your stinking hands off. What did you say? Keep your stinking hands off.
It's war.
Fire! Come on, get back!
From the producer of Chariots of Fire and local hero...
This is our place. No adults.
Yeah! ...comes a magical fable of fearless knights...
Don't harm me! Don't harm me!
What, you shamed yourself?
...who fought for their honor.
Buttons. 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 Trophies from the Battle of Murphy's Dunes.
And raven-haired beauties who stood by their men.
Didn't I tell you our Marie was great?
In a battle of courage and dignity.
What's up? Ashamed of what you've got?
And the War of the Buttons. War of the Buttons.
So, very intriguing premise that this movie has. You basically follow two rival boy gangs in Ireland, the Ballies, the working class, and the Carricks, the middle class. And they basically are... the film is basically a classification of both a dramedy in a way. The tone is mostly free, light, and humorous. Examines issues of conflict and war, the actions of consequences of violence, and how it can divide and oppose people who can be friends as easily as they can be enemies. And really, two things came to mind when I saw this trailer. One is the Simpsons episode where Bart basically starts a war along with the help of the other Springfield kids to stop Nelson from bullying him and everyone else. And that was early in the first season. And then the Butter Batter book kind of came into play. And not to the level... It doesn't do that type of a thing where it goes into, like, the examinations of war like that one. Because that one, I think, was an allegory about war. I haven't actually read the Butter Batter book in a long time, nor have I seen the special in a long time. But that's what I got out of that. When I could be completely wrong on that front, but that's what I definitely got when I watched this trailer. And it definitely looks intriguing. Like, it definitely looks very interesting on a number of levels, and could actually be pretty good. But I haven't seen it, so I can't really say anything about it. But my interest is definitely peaked. So yeah, there you go, War of the Buttons. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and we're moving pretty far along here. We're heading into October with the next episode, starting it off with 6 movies, including Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas of Richard Donner's Assassins, also written by the Wachowskis, by the way. Dead Presidents from the directors of Menace to Society, Kathleen Quinlan in How to Make an American Quilt. We also have The Addiction, the Catherine Bigelow-directed Strange Days, and Kicking and Screaming, not the Will Ferrell one, but the other Kicking and Screaming. But we'll get to those ones on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.